So I'm going to start with, this is going to be a really short deck of slides just to explain, set the stage for what I'm trying to see if we can do today, which is the offer we are trying to, as a guild, to offer objectively is the ACG badge. And here I have this little badge, the circle one, which basically is the something that we will claim, it's not ready yet, that it's vetted by the guild. And what is being vetted is the rigorous standards, real substance, reproducible trust. So we are vetting the process whereby people are using AI to create products. We are not, as I will try to show, we are not vetting the actual product, just the process, just the practice that is being utilized to leverage AI to build something. This is where I think the first mover advantage lies, because I don't see anyone offering that type of vetting service. So basically, the way to do this is what I created is called the ACG Rubric, and I'll explain what it is. But it breaks down to reproducible judgment, which means the judgment is objective, meaning if we are going to assess someone's process or someone's practice, then using this rubric, it should be reproducible, meaning if we do it and we come up with certain result, then if somebody else does it with the same hardness, the same constraint, should produce identical result. If not, then this rubric is not solid, it's not ready, and we are not qualified to issue the badge. There's one recurring enemy that I would talk about that is really pushing back and can compromise this vetting process. And for now, what we're discussing is a spec, not a badge. A badge is not ready. A badge is aspirational. So we're aspiring towards getting to the point where we as Guild can issue this badge. And basically, this, sorry, one sec. Let's try it. This deck should be read, you should read it as adversary. So trying to push back, trying to be really, really hard-ass skeptical. All right. So the problem is with opening cold. If we have, or we don't have 12 experts, but potentially we could, based on what we have in our invite list. We have 16 criteria and 1 afternoon lost if we start cold. So basically, if we do it cold right now and open it, each one would grab a different criterion and start arguing implementation. Well, all the arguments are good. Together, they go nowhere. So the deck installs the 3 ideas that make every criterion legible. So the reading is fast and the arguing lands where it's useful. And so just to be sure, to be clear, this deck is what it is and what it is not. It is a way to read the rubric. It offers one worked example in depth, hopefully. And your job, it is your job, our job description for today. It is not the criterion catalog. It is not the request for your approval. So the first idea out of 3 ideas is the rubric makes judgment reproducible, as I mentioned. So every criterion exists to pass one test. And the test is, could 2 competent assessors, I don't know how to pronounce it, assessors, reading only this file and looking at the same repository reach opposite verdicts? If yes, the criterion isn't done. It has holes. And the wording lets honest people diverge or let a gamed repo pass. So we want to avoid that. If no, the 2 competent assessors cannot reach different results, then the criterion holds. The verdict comes from the repo, not from the individual preferences or subjective criteria. This is why a badge that we are proposing can be revoked and can be defended. A specific criterion was or wasn't met objectively. It's not, we didn't feel it was good enough, because the point is reproducible judgment. So the second idea is one enemy that shows up again and again. This is in the personal practice, and I'm pretty sure you also met this in your practice, which is presence versus substance. A control that is present but not load-bearing exists on paper, but could never actually fail to change. And nearly every weak spot that I found is a version of this. So three examples here. We may have the human accountability. The presence would be, yeah, there is a name. There's a named human. That's just the presence. But the substance would be, it's a person who can actually answer for the change. When we say, why did this change? And then there should be a human that explains why it changed. Not just like, well, I don't know. It just happened. Then the verifiability or verifying integrity. The presence will be, yes, there is a second reviewer, but that's not good enough. The substance will be a reviewer that is able to reject the change. That is more reassuring. And the specification integrity, the presence would be there is a gate configured, but the substance is a gate that has stopped an agent authored edit. Then we know if there is such a possibility and recorded in action, that we are talking about substance, not merely presence. So we should learn to spot this one pattern, and then we can audit the rest ourselves. This is, I think, the central theme, is presence versus substance. The one criterion read properly. So today I'll try to look into this spec 03. Protect the spec from the agent. So here's a scar that we may find. An agent was told to make the test pass, but it weakened the test assertion instead. The signal went green, nothing was proven. So it meets if changes to files under test trigger automatic review by a human who did not operate the agent, and the review log shows it actually happened. Then it meets the criterion. It doesn't meet if an assertion was weakened in the same commit as the implementation and no reviewer flagged it. The agent satisfied its instruction. The spec surface was not protected. And these things happen a lot. They happen to me a lot. So we should read it as an adversary, and the seams appear. Is detectable the same as prevented? Thus, splitting the edit across two commits slip the gate, what accounts as agent authored. So every file reads the same way, and this is the criterion. It has these properties. The criterion is the claim. It's written so in such a way that a hostile reader cannot satisfy it by paraphrasing. Why it matters? The failure it prevents, traced to something real where possible. How is it assessed? What the assessor inspects, the step that must test the substance, not the artifact. Does it meet or does not meet? Concrete repos. The failing example is the more useful one. We should write it first. Scope note, what it does not cover and which criterion it depends on. And lastly, mappings. The OWSP, NIST, and if we have none mapping, that's a claim, not a gap. So this is the anatomy of the criterion. And our kind of early alpha, V01, is a specification, not a certification. That's the third idea. No badge issues yet. The launch is the self-assessment session. We run the rubric against our own code in public and publish where we fail. Issuance begins only when the levels criteria are all active and every example is grounded. Some criteria are drafted on purpose, and the repo says so upfront. Honesty about maturity is the point, not a gap to hide. So the badge is the goal. It's not yet issued. So it's a spec. And the core set that we have of the 8 of these pillars. Okay. So the spec 03, I claim it's right now active. We may contest that. Human 01 is active, provenance 01 is active, the rest are drafts. So how the pieces hang together, to give like a high level overview. This is one stack built on attribution. The top level is the goal, the badge. That this is what the stack produces. The badge is issuable, revocable, expiring, applies to us too. So we can issue the badge, but we can also revoke it. And also the badge has a shelf life. It expires. And it applies to us too, not just to others. The threshold is which criteria a level requires. Core set disqualifies. So we have 6 pillars here: the specification integrity, the verification integrity, the agent boundaries, human accountability, evolvability, and provenance. So each of these pillars has one shape. It has claim, why, how is it assessed, does it meet or not, what's the scope, and what the mappings are. And so agent authorship is attributable. Nothing above assesses cleanly without it. So for round one, I'm hoping we can attack one criterion, which I call spec 03, to sharpen the lens on that spec. Before we assess real code, we practice the read on one criterion, a criterion that survives the whole team trying to game its only kind worth shipping. Don't read and approve, read to break. So this is adversarial. So basically, maybe in 4 phases. The first phase is find the seam. Where could 2 honest assessors split? Where is the presence versus substance gap? So we look at the specification criterion and see if it has some gaps or holes. Then look at how to game it. How would the team pass this criterion without doing the work? How would the team cheat? If we discover that past that, we discovered the bug. The number 3, bring the scar. We've all watched an agent do something wrong. That story is a missing criterion, so we need to pull it in and address it. And then 4, file it, challenge criterion or report unaccessible. Both are first-class issues, not complaints. So this is kind of quite bureaucratic, but I think it's super important to keep this objective. So for that, we will work with this spec 03, and this will be the warm-up for round 2. And I just quickly go into round 2, which is the real event. Now we assess real code, which we created a rubric validator. So I asked an agent to build a tool to check the rubric. Agent and I built it the way a real team would. First, we issue a spec, then agent ingests the spec, doing test first cadence. And now the mob assesses it against the rubric together live. We do not yet know what we'll find. This is going to be an interesting, hopefully, outcome of today's mob session. So, verdict from the text, not the vibe. For each rule, does the check test the property the spec names or a proxy for it? Point at the line. Number 2, the test passing is not the answer. Green tests prove that code agrees with its own tests. Read the tests against the spec, not the pass count. Number 3, defend the verdict aloud. If the mob can't say why a rule passes or fails from the criterion text, the criterion isn't accessible yet. So we discover a weak spot. And number 4, every finding is a diff or an issue. A verdict, the rule it rests on, and what changes in the validator or in the rubric. No spoilers in this room until we're in it. The findings are ours to discover, not to ratify. And so, why both rounds matter? The rubric and the code assess each other. Assessing real code doesn't only grade the code. Where a rule is hard to apply, that's the rubrics telling us where it's soft. Both rounds feed the same thing, a rubric that gets harder to game because it met reality and lost. So round 1 will be attacking the criterion finds where the wording lets assessors diverge. Round 2, assessing the code, finds where the rule is hard to apply to a real repo. A better rubric revised in public from contact. So the intention here is for us to demonstrate complete impartiality, complete objective approach, where we are building this process and sharpening, discovering blind spots or, weak, soft areas and tightening them. So basically, for the first kind of exercise, and let's first hear if you have any questions, if I managed to confuse you. No question? Okay.
I think Nicolas wanted. Nicolas,
yes.
I think you wanted to say. It looks like you were waving the whole.
Yeah, it's just an addition about the result is reproducible according to criteria. You name the threshold, and so it's like threshold also on the specific assessment. If you audit a method, a piece of code, an entire repository, it's relative to the assessment or the cross assessment. You accord the badge. And another point is maybe you need to think about the registration, because if you want to be an organization, we need to be able to validate the badges in order to avoid the fake badges. Need to have an expiration date that expire when the threshold change to keep the history also. And my proposition is to maybe not in this session, but we can mob on this in order to build and figure out the attribute of the badges and the registration storage, like also the validation API. Taking input, for example, the badge number, for example, and we should provide an API to validate the badge from ACG API, for example. The badge also is delivered for a company or a person. It's one of my questions.
Okay, great question. So let me know if you can see the repo, ACG Rubric. I just want to confirm if I'm sharing that tab.
You are not, Alex?
No?
No.
I'm not.
You are seeing round 1.
Okay, let me try and screw that up. Still learning the ropes here. Share screen.
Yeah. This is the first time I've used Zoho. I actually haven't heard of Zoho.
Okay, so can you see now ACG Rubric?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the repo. And I'm just going to quickly kind of go through, and then some of you, Nicola's questions will be hopefully answered. So again, a rubric for assessing, let me make it bigger. This is a rubric for assessing the integrity of code generation practice when AI agents are being used, to which they materially contribute for production code. It does not assess the model, the code, or the security posture. So it's very important to emphasize. It asks whether the team can answer 4 questions on demand for any change that shipped. What was specified, what was verified, who is accountable, and what changed. So if we're talking to a CTO or VP, a director of engineering, why should you care? So your engineers are shipping code produced with AI assistance. When something breaks in production, you need to answer. What was the AI told to build? Who accepted the output? And how do we know it does what it's supposed to do? If the honest answer is, let me check the chat history if it hasn't expired, you have a practice problem, not a model problem. So this rubric assesses the practice, produces a badge if it passes, and takes the badge away if it stops passing. For a practitioner, the question is this any good? So,
just to understand, we have a first badge for the method. Just you can scroll up. Just the ICG rubric assesses the practice. Okay, so we produce a first badge for the practice, right?
Yeah.
And after we have other badges for other things?
Yeah, this one is basically answering the question, what was, let me go up some more, one more. Yeah, what was specified? What was verified? Who is accountable, a human, and what changed? If the practitioner or the team or the product that was delivered cannot answer those questions, basically we're saying, okay, all bets are off. You know, we don't, as a guild, we don't feel you are, we don't feel you are at the professional level where the guild advocates for this trade. Yeah,
Okay.
that's basically the bottom line. Right? So now how we go about it, you know, as a marketing, this is again the marketing strategy. I feel like we address the top echelon because they are the ones, from what we understand, pushing those practices. But we are saying, look, you are being a little bit, you know, running a fool's errand if you are saying, well, you know, we don't know, maybe there is some evidence in the chat history. Oh, guess what? The chat history expired. Well, then, you know, it feels good to us. No vibe, no feel, no like, okay, let me see the way the wind blows. But we want to make it more like a professional, scientifically based and good engineering where we can. Somebody raise a hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Alex. Is this repo open source or is it private or public?
This is public.
Oh, can you just drop the link in the chat?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, let me drop the link.
Just want to follow along.
Absolutely. Sorry, I forgot to do that.
No, sorry. How do you have to lower your hand after you have to click again, otherwise you're waving.
Sorry, didn't hear that. Okay,
Oh,
so
sorry. I was just clarifying. When you've raised your hand, you have to click on the button reactions to lower it. Otherwise, your icon just waves the whole time, like Nicola did. Okay, thank you, Alex.
so link is in the chat. And so basically, for the practitioner, basically we have read the criteria and decide. Every criterion is on file, one URL, one Git history. And again, what I'm trying to do here is for us to document every step of the way publicly, and everything will be in the Git history, so that this is a completely honest, you know, open, passionate approach to establishing the bar that we feel like it's the minimum requirement if we are to thrive in this trade and not shoot ourselves in the foot. So, you know, for the practitioner, we can read the rubric front page, how 6 domains fit together, the criteria, checkable items, what ACG Rubric says that nobody else does. I think this is important. I'm just quickly going to go through this. So I call this the unmapped criteria, something that is first mover advantage for us, nobody else does. So every criterion listed here is a claim. This rubric asserts something that about AI-assisted software development that no established framework has yet written down. So the claim is that there are established frameworks, OWS, PLLM top 10, Agentic top 10, NIST, etc. Somebody address the application level and organizational risk of AI. They do not address the integrity of the practice by which AI-assisted code comes into existence. This is the gap. And so here are the examples that we are saying, okay, these are the things that we address that nobody touches officially, right? So this is something, the gap that we fill out as a guild, which I believe is advantageous to what we're doing. You may disagree, and of course, this is, you're the guild, right? You can push back. Now, if you find the criterion is wrong, you can challenge it. And here's how to do it. Challenge about, title, labels, criterion, grounds, arguments. So it's a completely open, public thing that anybody can challenge.
So this is the assessment, the method, worksheet, and report template that produce a badge will produce this criteria online, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if there is a criterion that is unaccessible, then practitioners can report it again, fill out this thing, right? So everything is kind of grassroots, right? For a skeptic, for Ludger, are these people serious or is this marketing? The authors of this rubric assess their own code base against it, publicly unedited and published where they failed. So this is to be added, right? Self-assessment. Okay. A standard whose authors are exempt from is a marketing asset. This one is not. The rules in badge expiry and revocation apply to the founders on the same terms as to any other holder. So if we look at badge expiry, the rules apply. Every badge expires, and as you mentioned, Nicola, we have kind of broken it into 3 tiers: the practitioner badge, the product badge, and the organization badge. Yeah, who has a hand up? Sorry.
Sorry, I wanted to. Sorry to interrupt, Alex. Maybe in the interest of time, this is also something you asked for during the week. Is an open source repository to do the mob programming session on. Do you mind? I have a good one that I can suggest. Can I drop it into the chat so long so that everyone can check?
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Read advance, and then if you have any questions, you can ask.
Sure.
It's in the chat.
Excellent.
With a terrible sound effect.
Yeah, stupid. I tried to suppress it, but it didn't take. All right. So back to your Nicola, to your question. The practitioner, we have the 12 months shelf life to the badge, and then after that, renewal is full reassessment. For product, 12 months full reassessment, or on any material change to the practice. And for organization, 24 months, full reassessment with an interim attestation at 12 months, something like that. We can change that. This is just kind of first draft. I'm just throwing this out for the guild to discuss, kick around, and we can basically do a.
But do we attach the details of the assessments with the badge? Because I'm an organization, maybe I have one repo with good quality, and the other repo are with bad quality. The badge is related to one repo, so it's not. Maybe the company will do some marketing after, say, oh, we have the ACG badge and all our repo are good quality,
Yeah, that's I would call that a turd in a swimming pool. Like, you may have a big, beautiful Olympic swimming pool and everything's great. There's one little turd bobbing around, disqualified. Nobody's going to jump into that pool. So I mean, maybe I'm harsh, but I would say an organization that has really great repos, great practices, and then one is lousy, is disqualified. Get your act together. This may sound harsh, but it's simpler than us now picking, choosing, and having, just my idea.
But we will not have access to all the repo. It's one issue that we have, say, for the privacy, for example, how we can access the code or the method. We will not have access to all the stuff of the company. So it's related just to the stuff that the company granted to us. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point. Well, if they want to hide some skeletons in the closet, then they're being dishonest. Of course, we cannot force anyone to disclose that. The ones that do want to disclose, even if it's private, I mean, I think Ludger can help here, but we sign on NDA, right? And all these other things that it's completely, respect their privacy and sensitive information. So I don't know how else. I mean, if they don't want to again, if they're hiding something, dishonest business practices, that's I don't know.
But my point is that we should not control the other side. But on our side, you just stamp that our badges is related to what we have seen.
Of course.
It's just to protect us that we have some hidden part or something like that, but our stamp is according to this stuff because we have seen this stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. That's all we can do. We're not mind readers. We cannot, that to the best of our abilities. This is the material that has been presented to us. We have evaluated it, and the badge was issued based on this material. And then later, there's a breach and something else. Well, we never saw that, so we are not accountable.
Yes, because maybe we have another new notion related to the badge. It's the weight of the badge. Maybe if an enterprise make it visible one repository and the other 70, and you see that we have quality on 70 and not just one, maybe the weight of the badges is not the same.
Yeah, but that's of course, we need to elaborate on that. That's a really good point. So somebody had a hand up.
Yeah, Laurie?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was just maybe I was thinking, and this is just posed to the group, to have more time for the interactive session. But perhaps we don't have to focus on the badge too much. Perhaps move on. I mean, that's also in a way. I think the badge is not right now. It's so yeah. So let's move on. Yeah, is it good, Nicola? Okay.
Yeah, I said that it's just a detail, the badge. Yeah.
No, of course. I want all the badges, like, please give me a badge, please. But I need to first deserve it.
Of course. Yeah, okay, so this is about the badge. Okay, good point. Thank you very much. And I think, Ludger, you had a hand up, right?
Just run sharing. So in ISO 27001 information security management systems, they verifying or evaluating the processes. So on one side, there's the scope. So the certificate is just related to the data center or to this part of the company or to the whole organization. So there's a scope for the certification, and it works on evaluating the processes and then taking samples. So for example, they have a kind of documentation how they create their repos and so on and on. And we would check in this kind. You would check the process for the repo stuff or for the harnessing of AI agents, you name it. And then the evaluator would take samples and would looking, okay, is it really associating to the process description? So this is how they do it in these certifications, just as an input. And I would have one question. So with self-assessment, how does it work? So I don't get it. What the self-assessment is. What the meaning of a self-assessment is in this context to get the badge. I don't get it.
So
I think it's to keep it honest.
So if I understood you correctly, I may have misunderstood you because you're breaking a little bit up. But again, we are not assessing the product, the repo, the model, and all that. We are only assessing the practices that are being deployed, leveraging AI agents to build something. That's the badge. And if you earn the badge, that means that everything you are doing meets what we as Guild feels. We feel that this is the hallmark of a good trades person or trade organization that kind of strives for high quality level without cutting corners and flying by the seat of their pants, etc. So we do that by having those 6 pillars. So maybe as Laurie mentioned, it's all about this rubric, right? And the rubric has criteria. And there are criteria: agent evolvability, human accountability, provenance, specification integrity, and verifiability. So for today, I was thinking we can look at specification integrity and see if we can find holes in that kind of, just to narrow the scope, because it's vast and we can spend like days just going through this. But just, to have the first kind of mobbing session, and at this point I really know how we will run that, because there are no tests to run. But maybe just kind of go round robin and see what people comment about these things. The focus is on the spec 03, but I think it helps if I just quickly go over 01 as 02, just to give you an overview. So first of all, an organization must demonstrate that they have a specification that exists as a durable artifact, not a chat history, but a spec, and why it matters, how it's assessed, etc., what it meets, doesn't meet, the scope, and mappings. We don't find any such expectation in these OWASP LLM top 10, nor in the Agentic top 10. In NIST RMF, we find partial mentioning, map, function, context, establishment, but still not fully fleshed. On the spec 02, we're saying the specification is versioned. So any change to the specification should be, it should be a history, and why it matters, etc. The mappings, all these three prominent platforms do not have. So this is again our advantage. And now, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't think you're sharing the right. If you're talking about the rubric, we're not seeing. So if you maybe can just.
Sorry. Sorry. Let me try again. It sucks. Okay, let's see.
We listen you.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Can you see now the spec 03?
Yeah.
Okay. So just quickly going back. Spec 01 specification exists as durable artifact. So it's not just chat history. It is part of the repo somewhere. And then spec 02, it is versioned. So that you can go to history. And now spec 03 is what I'm hoping we can examine today as a mob. The criterion is that when an agent author change touches a protected artifact, such as a test, a specification, or a prose constraint, the change is detected and blocked from shipping absent explicit review by a human who did not operate the agent. So in a nutshell, this is what happens to me all the time. I have a test or some kind of spec or some kind of MD document, and in there I have declared some expectation, some business policy rule, whatever it may be, and now I'm letting the agent run its task, and I give it some challenge, and every now and then I notice, if I'm not paying attention, I notice that the agent goes back and modifies the meta information to make its job easier. And this is something that the agent is trespassing. It's trying to smuggle some change that is not legit. And so the spec 03, yeah, go ahead.
For the spec 2, you said that it's version, but you talk about the test or what spec, and in which part of the project you have some constraint on spec 2 about the versioning, or?
Yeah, like I may tell the agent in the MD file, don't ever change the tests.
Okay.
Okay, that's all looks legit. But then when the agent is running and the context window is bloating and there's all these challenges, the agent just disregards that. And I've seen that happen. And I'm not imagining it, right? So despite being explicitly told, don't you dare go and change the architecture test or something, it just goes and changes it because it makes its job easier. Because its goal in life is to succeed. It's to make things pass. And by a hook or by a crook, it goes and makes it happen. And if we're not paying attention, we're like, yeah, okay, everything's cool. We can now ship. And then, we shoot ourselves in the foot. So the intention of this spec 03 is to prevent that and to have it explicitly implement it so that these things are being detected, not only detected, and also blocked. And so if the agent tries to do that, the system detects it, blocks it, and notifies the human operator, whoever it is, and say, okay, is this legit? Do we approve this or not? And I may say, yeah, okay, that's cool. But that's document. That's the legit process whereby we are not running flying blind by just using those agents to go whatever the hell they feel like they should do. So that's basically the intent here. Now, the challenge for us here is to go through this spec and to see if it's watertight or airtight, waterproof, or it has holes that could be gamed. And then if we find those, then we as a team here should plug those holes. Now,
should we add a section, because for old spec you have criterion, why it's matter, how it access meets, does not meet mapping. Should we add a section example, in order to explicit the case? Or
let's see how it is assessed, meets, does not meet, no mapping. Yeah, that's okay. So, okay, this is being recorded, so I will rewind and document. So, yeah, example is very useful.
Just to explicit, because if it's not clear for one of us, I think we should explicit all specification.
Okay, excellent. So with that in mind, and I think I kind of set the stage, even though a little bit clumsily, how about we rotate now? Somebody else takes over and shares the screen. You go to spec03.md if you all have the link to the repo, and then maybe read out loud and let's discuss if you guys catch something that you think, oh, this is soft, this is not good enough, and then we come up with alternatives. Some, be adversary, be like hostile to this, and say, well, I think this is pretty weak and lame, and this is what's missing. That's basically my hope for this the first round. Is that okay, or do you want me to keep going? I don't know.
Okay. I need to leave in 5 minutes.
Think. Oh yeah, Nicolas is leaving. Alex, maybe with 5 minutes, is it possible for you to perhaps just give I can assist with giving a TLDR, too long, just a summary for people leaving soon. This is how. So I've went through this. Alex asked me to look at it. Yeah. So I would just want to say, so for the specification, that means that is the surface the agent builds from, is it defined? Is it explicit? Is it complete? And also, are there bounds?
Is it version?
Right. Yes. Yeah. I'm coming to just let me know if that is my read is correct, Alex.
Yeah.
Right. So for verification integrity, do the checks actually check? And does the good measurement come from exogenous from the origin, outside of the maker?
Not sure what you mean by that.
So that's to have verification integrity on this.
Oh yeah. Well, for now we're just focusing on specification.
Okay, for example, spec. Okay, cool. So I can maybe send one page a bit later about the work that I did on the first one on spec.
Yeah. So we have these 6 pillars. We have the agent boundaries that we need to specify, right? We need to see if the system is evolvable, which means can the system survive people leaving and new hires joining? Then we have the human accountability. Where does the buck stop? Does the buck stop anywhere? Or we just saying, well, I don't know, AI did it, don't talk to me. the provenance. Where is the change coming from? From the agent, from the human, from some kind of a hybrid? The specification, yeah, again, is it there? Is it versioned? Is it rock solid? And then the verification, which means, is there a reviewer? Is there somebody who verifies that? So these are like the criteria or the domains or the pillars where if everything is really sorted out and we are happy with it, then we can say, okay, any practitioner, product, or organization can be evaluated by us getting together, going through this, and issuing a badge or revoking a badge or something like that. That's basically what I think we can offer as a public service from our guild. And it's, again, the bottom line is, if two people assessing independently come out with different findings, then this system is lame. We should strive to the point that it doesn't matter who reviews it. If they follow these instructions, then the verdict will come identical. It's not like, Nicola, you reviewed it and you gave the badge, and I reviewed it and said, no, I'm revoking the badge. Then that means the system is shoddy. It's not good. And so the intention here, I think, for us, if you agree, you may disagree and say, okay, this is stupid, but if you agree, then if we can sort it out, if we can crystallize what is needed here for us to independently assess some report, then I think we have grounds for saying, okay, we as Guild can issue the badge, and then it just, the hope is that people will start, if you imagine somebody puts on their resume or on their LinkedIn, I have ACG badge, that I'm certified, that I know how to do agentic development practices properly. And if you hire me, you will not be in a situation where it's, oh, what happened here? As well as the product that was built by AI, as well as the organization that's doing AI development. Okie doke. So do we want to do a little bit of mobbing, or do you want me to keep going, or what's the...
I will go, but it's interesting what you share in the chat, the specification integrity, because the concrete part is how we can assess the specification. I think all comes from the concrete assessment, and maybe we can generate a use case from that. We are the enterprise A, and we have this repository. Okay, this is the example to, we have not passed the spec 1 because on this piece of code is not match the criteria or something like that. To make make it explicit for all, because we have the theory, right, and we need a concrete example, and from this concrete example, we will be able to say, we miss this part, or this part is not optimal, or something like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But before we do that, we need to solidify this criteria for the rubric, because we don't have it. It's half-baked at best. Actually, it's very, very naive at this point. Just first stab, right? So
what is the criteria? Because in the specification integrity, I see that we have, for example, assess scan for placeholder the name but don't implement. This is one criteria, or could you figure out the criteria for all guide member, right?
What do you mean?
We need to improve the criteria, but maybe just to have an example of one criteria on one case.
Yeah, this is spec 03, for example. That's a criterion that I would like to... can somebody mute, because I think I'm echoing. So just to, something I'm proposing for today, to go over this criterion as a team and see whether somebody here can spot that something is missing, or something is redundant, or something is lame, or something is not... we want to tighten the screws, basically. Just go one by one. Just spec 03,
Okay.
We are proposing here a specification that will help us identify whether the agent can sail through with some cheating, being dishonest, and nobody catches it, and it goes into production, and then causes problems. That's just one limited, narrow case. Would that be acceptable to you guys, or you want to do something else?
Okay, for the spec 3, you say that without a human being made to look, it fails the criterion. Okay, it's
Yeah, so we need to make sure that we are clear on detection. First of all, detect that something, there was a trespassing, and they were saying that's not enough, and also blocking. And thirdly, notify, escalate. So it's three aspects: detect that there was a trespassing, blocking the trespasser, saying, okay, you shall not pass, and escalating to the human. That's basically